Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I am so excited to welcome Emily Wallace today to the next episode in Purposely. I'm so excited to chat with her. We were laughing before because I said I feel like I already know her, even though we've actually never met. But Emily is, if you didn't know, she's kind of a big thing on LinkedIn. She's a bit of a LinkedIn superstar. And I love listening to all of her content. She's got a really interesting story to tell. So I cannot wait to hear about where she's right now and how she got there. So the first question I like to ask people is, if you were at a barbecue or a party and someone said, "So what do?" What would you tell them?
It's a very good question, and I wish I could go to a barbecue to be asked this. So what I say is I am a personal shopper for family homes in its most simplest form, and I advocate for the buyer. I represent the buyer in the real estate transaction. The vendor has a real estate agent in their court. Buyers have me, and I help take the time, stress, and emotion out of buying property.
Wow, I wish I had had a buyer's advocate when I bought my first property, because it was a very traumatic experience, and even it was traumatic. So amazing! I think that's something definitely that is needed out there. But that's not. I'm kind of cheating here because I know, but that's not all that you do. Don't you also now teach people how to use LinkedIn to build their profile and generate leads? So
Yes.
how did you get into that?
So I think when I wrote the little brief for the business, when I put it on LinkedIn, it said, "This is a business born out of a need." And the reason is that I use LinkedIn as a platform to educate people about a buyer's advocate, because a lot of people don't actually know what we do. And as a consequence of that, I had people reaching out to me pretty much daily saying, "How are you doing video? How do you get the captions on there? When should I post?" All these questions. And at first, I was just more than happy to help, which I always am happy to help people. But then I realized there's actually more to this, and I could teach people the blueprint that I've used and then replicate it in other businesses. So I run workshops. That business is called EW Education. I kept it very generic and open because it's going to grow into something more. But yeah, LinkedIn workshops to teach people how to actually have clients come from LinkedIn, which I've been able to do multiple times just through content.
I love it. And I love your content. I watch all of it. I consume it famously because you're really honest and you're authentic and you're real, and I think that's very appealable. I don't even know if that's a word. Appealing.
It is now.
Appealable. God, I don't know what's going on. So now I just want to go a little bit backwards, because I'm cheating again, but I know that there's a story behind this story, because you didn't actually start out thinking that you were going to be a buyer's advocate or be teaching people about LinkedIn. So can we just go back to the start and hear how it all started, what your journey was?
Yeah, so I guess the most obvious place to start is after graduating university. So I'm originally from Tassie, moved to Melbourne to complete a degree in primary school education and arts. I landed my first job in education recruitment. So I didn't go into the classroom. I did a couple of substitute days and realised probably not my thing, and went into recruitment, which I loved. I was in a sales role, an area manager for a certain patch of Melbourne. Fast forward 2 years, I moved across to another corporate, doing a similar sort of role, that sales. I was a team leader, so I'd had management experience. And through that process, I bought my first investment property. Now, that was a great experience for me. I researched a lot, but through the process, I was like, surely, how do people know this stuff? No one teaches you how to buy a house. You could YouTube it, but I don't think you'd get too many good answers. So at that same time, it coincided with finding out about the Buyer's Agent Institute. So this was this, movement to help educate people about how to be a buyer's advocate. And I spent 2 hours on the phone to the guy who runs it. I remember I was sitting in my car for 2 hours after one day of work, and I was like, right, this is it. Like, there's such a lack of representation in the market. I love property, absolutely love property, and I've always wanted to run my own business, so this makes sense. And that all sounds well and good in theory. I mean, it hasn't been smooth sailing, let's be honest. But I think the biggest thing I realise now that was the biggest risk I took, I quit my job too early, and I didn't have enough funds behind me. I thought I knew what I needed. On the flip side of that, I'm so glad I quit when I did, because there never would have been the best time to do it. And it pushed me to really hustle big time to be able to stay afloat. So that's the journey in a nutshell.
Yeah. I love it. So it sounds like you made this massive decision. How old were you when you made that decision to quit your corporate job and start your own business?
That's a really good question. Well, I'm 27 now, and I started the business in 2018, so 25, but I started the course before then, so 24 when I sort of started the process. I was 25 on September 1st, 2018 was my first day out and about.
Wow, I love that you remember that. So many people remember their first day, or it's like a big moment in their life where they're like, holy shit, I'm now a business owner. So it's pretty scary. So you said something really interesting about you felt like you quit your job too early. This is one of the things that a lot of people grapple with, especially I speak to. They hate their corporate job. They've just spent all this money doing a degree that my dad calls a degree a tissue in your pocket, because everyone's got one. And they're like, oh, but I want to start my own business. And that transition from I need money and need to eat and pay my rent to I want to start a business. What would be your advice for people who are in that space at the moment?
I would speak to, this is probably what I failed to do, speak to someone who is maybe 12 months ahead of you. So they're in the same field as what you're going into, and find out who those people are. Trust me, they'd be very given of their advice, because they probably wanted that advice when they started. Seek those people out and just have a really honest conversation. How long did it take to land your first client? What did cash flow look like? I think having a budget and a handle on your personal finances is important, but business finance is a whole different piece. And the setup costs for different businesses can be quite big. So yes, I would seek out the advice of someone who's a year ahead of where you want to be, and work out a model based on that of what you actually need in the bank to survive, because you don't want to quit and regret quitting because of the financial stability. So make sure you've got that in place properly. It's such a two sides to this, because yes, you need that, but also if you wait to the perfect moment, you will never quit your job. So you need to be okay with the fact that there is going to be some uncertainty. You're going to be nervous about money for some period of time, but you will learn to be comfortable with it over time. And if you want to make it work, and it does happen.
I think that's really good advice. Walking in the shoes of someone who's done it before, like getting a mentor, I think is so important for anyone in business. And I think in this day and age, there's so much information that you can get your hands on. There's so many little courses that you can do online. Everyone in the world is selling Facebook courses to do pretty much anything and everything. And I'm addicted to doing those little courses. And I think that if you want to learn how to do something, like at the moment I'm learning ClickFunnels. So I'm watching. I use Entreport, but just that whole theory and how to maximize all of that stuff. Like, that shit used to be reserved for the big boys and people who had lots of money to invest in these really slick marketing systems. But we live in a world now where pretty much anyone can start a business, and you can also pretty much do anything you want. Like, if you want to build a website, you can just get some kind of website platform and they design it for you, and you just put in the information. So I think really great information or advice that you should get a mentor and get the skills and the knowledge. But I guess you already touched on it, that it's not going to be smooth sailing and there's going to be some challenges along the way. What have your biggest learnings been?
I think my biggest thing is that I underestimated. So I've come from an education and recruitment industry into the real estate industry. There are no parallels in terms of contacts in this, right? But real estate agents aren't hiring teachers, they're just not, So I think number one challenge was establishing a personal brand in a brand new area. And a lot of people will be doing this, if they're in a corporate job, a 9 to 5, that's a very mundane job, chances are their aspirations lie in a different field, in a different industry. So I think the biggest challenge I faced early on was, how do I get my name out there? And there's never too much content, in my opinion. I still don't think I'm doing enough content. I genuinely believe I could be producing more content than I am. And people go, well, how is that even possible? You're always posting, I always see your face. I feel like I know you. That's great. I need you to know more of me, So I think that's one of the biggest challenges if you are moving into a new industry. The second one, which is a big one, is that finance piece. So I posted a video actually, must have been over a year ago now, but when I first started business and I then realised, okay, clients don't come that easily. It's not like you open up shop and they walk through the door. I actually started driving Uber, and that's what it took to get me by. And the reason I chose Uber was I could do that when I wanted to do that. And it worked well because I actually got to see more of Melbourne, more houses as I was driving around, streets that I hadn't been in, and I wasn't afraid to do that. I think the biggest thing is people let pride get in the way. What are people going to think if I'm driving Uber? I can't tell my friends I'm doing that. So I think if you can just worry about yourself, stop worrying about what everybody else thinks. Your opinion of that, if it makes you, if they think of you as less, or that you're not getting well enough, or, you have to do things to get by. And driving Uber was something I had to do. It had to be done. It was a way to get income. And I'm so grateful I had the ability to do that. I'm lucky that was there for me. So, yeah, I think they're probably two big ones.
Amazing. I love that you're an Uber driver. I didn't know that. I'm impressed. And also a good way to meet clients, potentially. People who might be buying a house. Did you get any clients?
I got to give out 2 business cards. Because a lot of people are like, oh, imagine jumping in an Uber with me. Okay, picture your Uber driver and then picture me.
Yeah.
So are you studying, or why do you drive Uber? And then that starts a conversation. So I did get that. Didn't get any clients from it, but you learn a lot. I think it was for sure.
That's awesome, and I think that's a really good message there, that you've got to do whatever it takes and be hungry. And if that means getting a side job to finance you, going and working in a bar or a cafe or whatever. Like when I bought my first 6, I worked on the weekend in a bar on Friday and Saturday night, so I didn't have any weekend. And I was working at Holden I was in a HR advisor role, so it was pretty stressful. It wasn't like I was just something, but I just really wanted to buy a house. So you got to do the work, man.
You 100% have to. And my brother was talking to me about this recently, because he's a mad keen investor, and he's earning 20s. He's miles above where I was at that age. But he was saying, living this isn't forever. Living this couple is so that you can enjoy those years of young. And I think that's so important to realise that hustling is a temporary thing. Life is going to be hustle all the time. You hustle hard, and the rewards come. And I'm starting to do that now, where I have a much better balance. Had I not done a year and a half of like a lot of hours, I probably wouldn't be in this position right now.
I agree, and I think that a lot of people want to run their own business or they want to be an entrepreneur, but they underestimate the actual amount of work and the sacrifice it takes. Like some people say to me, "Oh, it must be so amazing. You must have so much flexibility and free time, and God, it'd just be so stress-free, having your own business." I'm like,
yeah, I think the next paycheck, very stress-free.
Yeah, not really. But yeah, I'm glad that I look like I'm stress-free because, yeah, it's interesting. So you touched on something before that I want to talk about, and that is using LinkedIn to build your personal brand, because I think that that's something you've done exceptionally well, to the point where I feel like I've known you for 10 years and we've never met. And that is the power of these platforms, isn't it? That it's free, essentially. You can create a profile and build a following and talk to them every single day. And then when it comes to selling something, they're like, "Oh yeah, I'm going to buy from Emily Wallace because I know her, I trust her, I like her, and yeah, we go way back."
Yeah, I tell you what, LinkedIn is just an amazing platform. The way I sort of landed in LinkedIn land, I guess, is I had an experience with it when I was in corporate, seeking out potential decision makers to reach out and message them, but I never posted content because I was under an umbrella of a company and it probably didn't even cross my mind, to be honest with you. I attended an event to do with social media. I think it was like one of those ones, where they upsell you the next thing and the masterclass and whatever. I didn't get upsold, but I just took on board the information they gave me in the free session. And I was like, okay, I'm going to investigate these platforms further. And at the time, so September 2018, LinkedIn video had only been around for 3 months. It came out, July 2018. So it was a new thing, and I didn't even know that at the time. And when I started posting and seeing the reach on videos, I was like, I'm not even paying for this to be advertised. I'm getting thousands of views just for putting my point of view across. Like, this is crazy. So then I started to add some structure to it. I've got Top Tip Tuesday. That's a minimum expectation. I have a video out every single week. And it really evolved because I started to see people messaging saying, "I really like the content. I'm not even interested in buying a house, but I really like listening to what you have to say." Or the content that does the best, the content that is not industry specific. So, for example, we were speaking offline before about the post I put up. It was a picture of me graduating. That post has had like 17,000 views or something, and all this reach and messages off the back. I think there's a fine line on LinkedIn. You have to be professional. It's not an Instagram or a Facebook.
Yeah.
I don't even know how to explain how I know where that line is. I just know that if I think maybe about posting it, I don't post it. It's got to be let's go ahead.
So what's your advice for people who are worried about putting content out there? Because I think that a lot of people are really scared to do a video and put this content out there that's basically up there forever and ever, and it's irremovable. And I know when I started posting content, I was really worried about what people thought of me, and not really people I knew. Not really people I didn't know. It was more the people I knew. And I got a few comments from friends or family saying, "Oh God, you're doing so much content on LinkedIn." And like kind of being a bit judgy. And what would be your advice for people who are feeling like that? Because I don't think I'm alone there.
I don't think you're alone at all. I have to be honest with you, I struggle with understanding it because I've just never known any other way but to post what I feel like posting, and I actually do not care what anyone has to say or think about it. Because to me, people's opinions of what they're putting forward, you mentioned people being judgmental. That judgment comes from something to do within themselves. It's not to do with you. It's actually not at all to do with you. It's to do with the fact that Maybe they wish they could post content like you and they're not as bold enough to do it. Maybe they have insecurities about the way they present themselves. There's an array of reasons as to why they would put a negative comment against something positive that you're doing. And I think, yes, people worry about what people are going to say. I always say this, when people say, but I just can't post content, I just can't do it. What is the worst thing that could happen?
Yeah, I love that. I say that to people all the time.
Someone's going to put a nasty comment and that's going to upset you. Is that really the worst thing that could happen?
Exactly. I remember getting a few nasty comments on some things that because I write about millennials, so it's quite controversial. Like,
sure,
just jump on and they're like, because I'm promoting millennials, saying how amazing they are, and that obviously rubs them up the wrong way. And
yes.
I was getting all these negative comments, and I was getting quite upset. And I was working with the coach at the time, Maureen Pound. I don't know if you know Maureen.
Yeah. I know Maureen. Yes.
Yeah, and she said to me something that I'll never forget. She said, if you've got people writing negative comments and trying to give you negative feedback, it means that you're a little bit famous and that you're obviously touching a nerve. And she's like, so just don't sweat it. Who gives a shit? And I was like, yeah, actually, that is a really good way of looking at it. I'm obviously sparking a debate, and that's what the content's meant to do, right? It's meant to spark some kind of thinking or emotion or hook people in. And that's the whole purpose of what you're trying to do. And obviously build rapport with people without actually having to meet them.
Yeah, exactly. It's so true. And look, I think for every negative comment that you get, you probably get 10 positive ones. People, their perception is negative is here and positive is here in terms of volume. It's actually the complete opposite way around. And yeah, look, I think you're getting in the way of yourself by not putting the content up. You're literally getting in your own way, because imagine the exposure that you could get by broadcasting to a network for free that also has a network, and it goes first, second, third, it goes out. It's just insane, the possibilities. And I'd hate to think how many people have missed opportunities by not posting.
Yeah, I would agree. So the message is, if you've got a business and you want to build your personal brand, get onto LinkedIn and stop talking about it. Now, I want to segue into a different conversation now.
Yes.
And I just want to talk a little bit about the property market, because property guru, and everyone is wondering what the hell the market is going to do post-COVID-19. What's it doing now? Are people, I've heard that the market's going to drop in value 30%, and everyone's doomsdaying. We just had the announcement today that we've officially gone into a recession. So what does this all mean, Emily?
Look, for people listening, look up a hashtag called Oz Property Alive, spelled with an OZ, Oz Property Alive. So basically what the property industry has done, we've found this hashtag to show pictures of the amount of people lining up at open homes and the activity that's happening right now.
Let's put the hashtag in. So it's
Oz Property Alive, all one word. Now, I can't take credit for this. This came from Ben Kingsley and Bryce Holdaway, who run the Property Couch, very famous property podcast. There's a plug for them. But what the media isn't reporting on is the fact that there are lines to get into open homes. I'm competing against multiple offers for properties. There are multiple hands going up at auctions, and things are selling at the very least within the quoted range, more often than not above the quoted range. And the problem is we have a supply and demand issue. There are not enough properties for the volume of buyers. So right now, I don't see that evening out anytime soon. I speak to agents daily that give me updates. Where are your listings at? What vendors have you spoken to? There is no way in this world that the number of properties on market will match the number of buyers before the end of the year, in my opinion.
Wow. Okay. And then what about after all of this government support and the stimulus and everything all ends, I think that there is a fear that that the market there'll be like an aftershock essentially. What are your thoughts around that?
Look, I'm not an economist or anything like that. My logical thought around this is if people do fail to pay their mortgage repayments and the bank takes ownership of the property, and it has to be a bank sale, mortgagee in possession sale, these sales will not be popping up until February next year. If you think about it, September the payments hit. Okay, now we've got a delay on our September payment that rolls into October. They get hold of it by December. They have to appoint an agent. They have to appraise it. There's a whole, it's not just we don't pay our mortgage now, our house is on the market. Like that's not how it happens. There's a process and a lot of paperwork involved in those sorts of things. So I predict that there will be an influx of stock towards February, March potentially of 2021, but I still don't believe it's going to outweigh the buyers. And until it happens, then we flip into a buyer's market when there's more stock than there are buyers. That'd be great. Don't get me wrong. That would be wonderful. But I think that's a next year thing, certainly not a this year thing.
And so where does this supply and demand problem come from? How do we have a supply and demand problem in Australia? I just don't get it. I'm not a property specialist or an economist. I'm fascinated by this stuff.
Certainly. So I think the biggest thing at the moment is there's so many first home buyers in the market. So you look at one household is now dispersing into two households, and there's a lot of first home buyer activity. Young professionals who have got stable jobs, who are looking to purchase. And when I say first home buyer, I don't mean sub 750K. A lot of people put them in that bracket because of the grants and because of the exemptions. Not the case. A lot of first home buyers, I'm helping a first home buyer at the moment who is spending up to 2 mil. So first time buying a house, So I think the biggest thing is we've got those. We've also got investors. So investors have their own property, plus they want to, buy more. I just think that a lot of vendors are sitting tight at the moment. They don't want to move out of their house, not particularly fond of a change in house right now. However, if you really think about it, everyone has just spent more time at home than they ever have. So that to me, you either come out loving your house because it's spacious and you've got plenty of room for the kids, or you go, oh my God, we cannot live here anymore. We need to get out.
Yeah.
So
I feel like that. That's how I'm feeling right now. We're just about to knock our house down and build 2 townhouses before this.
Oh wow.
Yep. And literally, like, we've gone to VCAT. It's taken 4 years to get the plans approved. We've got the building drawings, everything, and then this whole thing, we were like, let's just wait.
Oh goodness, you would. Well, that was, you're almost so close to getting that achieved, and now it's not there. So that would be tricky.
So now we're in this position of, and the reason I was asking these questions was to obviously share your knowledge with everybody, but it was very selfish of me because I was like, because we're in a situation where we're like, do we do this? Because the whole purpose is for us to become mortgage free. So we would sell the property. And
awesome.
And so we're thinking, because it's not going to be built for another 12 months from the start. So what's the market going to look like in 12 months? Is that the right time to be doing this? Or should we just wait? Because we love where we live and we love the area. So the government just announced, I think today or yesterday, that if you renovate your house and spend 150 grand, they'll give you $25,000. And I also think that if you build a brand new home on a like house and land package, they're also going to give you some money. So what's that all about?
To be honest, it's on my list of videos to create for tomorrow with Dan, my videographer, to learn more about it, because I've just heard as much news as everyone else has in terms of the headlines and stuff. I haven't even had a chance to dig deeper on it just yet. It sounds great. One aspect I do know is that for enhancing your current home, it can't be used for external things such as a pool or a tennis court or any additions to the property. It has to be to enhance the existing. But keep posted, because I actually am going to properly research this. It's on my list for between now and 11:30 tomorrow to provide a proper video update on what that 25k actually can be used for and how it will be dispersed, and also what caps are being put on it, because they can't have it unlimited, surely.
No, surely not. But so I ask I do this all the time. I'm not very good at interviewing people. I ask 3 questions at once, which is pretty funny given I've worked with and I know how to do a job interview for one. But I just take a step back. So what do you think the market's going to look like in 12 months' time? And do you think that a townhouse would reach its maximum sale price in 12 months' time, or would it be better? I'm not asking for personal advice, but I kind of am. Would it be better to wait and see what happens and just sit on it for 5, 10 years and then do it later?
The honest answer is no one knows what the market's going to look like in 12 months. We could speculate, and my speculation would be that we need to see where the stock levels are at. If the stock's still low, it's a great selling market. If the stock levels increase and we get a lot of those bank sales, and there's more stock coming to market, then it's a buyer's market and it's not as attractive. My best sort of opinion would be to keep an eye on stock levels. And those are listed also. Usually realestate.com send out a summary every Saturday of the private sales stock levels and the auction stock levels, as well as obviously the actual percentage of the clearance rate. I would track those very carefully to see, are we turning? Are we seeing more stock coming through, or are we actually going down on stock? If we're going down on stock, great time to be building and selling. If we're going up on stock, worst case, you could always rent it out. Keep an eye on the rental market.
True.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jess, for that advice. Not advice.
Not advice.
I love it. So what have you got coming up in the future? What's your vision for your businesses? Because you've kind of got 2 businesses. You've got the buyer's advocate business, and then you've also got this training business. So where do you want to be in 5 years' time? What's the big goal?
So it's a very timely question. I've got a meeting with my business coach next Friday to map out the next financial year. And to me, I couldn't even tell you what I'm doing on Saturday yet. I live so in the moment of everything that's going on that, yes, I have to plan as a business owner because I need to know what's happening. But 5 years' time is almost too far out for me to know. What I would love, what life looks like, is being able to travel. Yeah, being able to travel when I want to travel, having the freedom that I still have at the moment. My days run as I set them out, pretty much. And I think I'm certainly working towards, a financial freedom piece where I can really work because I want to work, and I will. I will work until my body doesn't move anymore. I love working, and I have to be busy all the time.
Yeah, you can tell you love what you do, and that's the beauty about having your own business, is that you get to live your purpose and do what you love every single day, and then it actually doesn't feel like work. Yeah. And I'm sure there's a lot of people who would love to feel like that. So what's your advice to them?
Stop thinking and start doing. People say, I'm thinking about doing this. Maybe I could. Just do it. And back to that phrase I always say, what is the worst thing that could happen?
Exactly. And it's so funny because most people are really driven and they're pretty successful. It's so you're really good at what you do, you're really successful in every other job that you've ever had. Why would you not be successful in this one? And you know what? If it doesn't work, you can also always go and get another job. I know plenty of people who've tried to run their own business. I don't think it's for everyone. I think that you need a certain personality type is what my observation would be. You need to be self-made and motivated. You need to be willing to do the hard yards, and you need a certain appetite for risk and uncertainty, because you're going to get a lot of that. Would be my 2 cents on that one.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. And I think, look, it's easy for me to say in that I don't have any dependents, no kids, no partner. So the risk for me personally is very low to maintain, myself. I understand when people hesitate when they do have kids and partners in the mix, particularly if their salary has been a large contribution to the household. I totally get that, and it is harder. But obviously, being a target market of millennials, if there are people who are in the similar description to myself, you're so lucky. You're so lucky, and you're not probably going to have that opportunity again. So I would take it. In the worst case scenario, you end up back in a job, which is your current scenario. So is it really that bad?
Exactly, that's great advice. Like, you should do it when you're young and you can, and you don't really have that financial burden or commitments. Great advice there. I could literally talk to you all day about this stuff, but probably a great way to end. Just do it, get out there, make it happen. So if people want to find you and learn more about what you do, where can they do that?
So obviously very active on LinkedIn, just type in Emily Wallace, I should pop up. Instagram is, I'm continually posting Instagram stories about my days, about just, things that I come across that I think are worth sharing. It's very different content to LinkedIn content, so feel free to follow me on there. And you can find me, my website is just my name, emilywallace.com.au.
Amazing. And are you going to be running any more LinkedIn stuff in the coming months?
Well, I really want to run it face to face again, because the online one was good. We had a great turnout, but my goodness, I much prefer a classroom style. It takes you back to my teaching days in a really nice venue in Melbourne. So keep posted across any of those channels. You'll find out about the next one coming up. But I need to get in contact with the venue to see, what the social distancing rules are going to be with that. And I really do want to host another one in the coming months. Definitely before September would be the goal.
I love it. Watch this space. I would love to attend one of your LinkedIn events. I think I need a bit of a brush up on my skills. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you giving us your time and your knowledge. It's been amazing. You are inspiring. I'm so impressed that you've achieved so much in your very short life, and every time I have a conversation with a young millennial entrepreneur, I seriously learn something. So I absolutely love doing this, and I just want to really thank you.
No, thank you so much for taking the time to have me on as well. It's been a pleasure, and I hope out of this that someone listening takes an action on something maybe they've been sitting on for a while, and just gets out there and does it.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Emily.
No worries. Thanks for having me.